Hey guys, in this video I'm going to show you how you can set up C and C++ support on your Windows 11 operating system. So for this you will need two things. First one is Visual Studio Code. So if you haven't installed Visual Studio Code, I will recommend you to install it. It's a very easy and simple process. So let's start with the installation first. So first of all, open your favorite browser and search for Visual Studio Code. And the first link which will appear here will be code.visualstudio.com. So I'm going to click on this link. And once you are on this website, you will be able to see this download for Windows option here, or you will be able to see this download button, right? And when you click on this arrow, you will be able to see the download options for macOS, Windows and Linux also. So we just need to click on this download for Windows button, which is going to start the download of this VS Code user setup.exe file. It's around 76 megabyte at the time of making this video. So just wait for the download to complete. And once the download of this exe file is finished, just click on this file, and I'm going to minimize this browser. So first of all, you will see this license terms and agreement window. So if you agree with those license terms and conditions, just click on this I accept the agreement radio button and then click on next. This will be the default location where Visual Studio Code will be installed on your Windows 11 operating system. So if you don't have the good reason to change this location, just leave it as default. Otherwise, you can click on this browse button and then select the location where you want to install Visual Studio Code. I'm going to just click on the next button. Now on this next window, you will see select start menu folder. Just leave it as default, which is Visual Studio Code. And then you can also check this checkbox which says don't create a startup menu folder. And when you check this, it's not going to create a startup menu folder. But I want to create it, so I will leave it as default and then click on next. And here on the next window, you will be asked to select the additional tasks. So here I want to create the desktop icon, so I'm going to check this checkbox. Also add open with code, I want to add this option also, and I want to add this option also which says add open with code action to Windows Explorer directory context menu. I want that also, right? So I'm going to check all these checkboxes and then click on next, and then you will see the summary here. Just click on install, which is going to start the installation of Visual Studio Code. At this point, you just need to wait until this progress bar reaches to the 100% mark. And once that's done, you will be able to see this message completing the Visual Studio Code setup. Also, you can see the Visual Studio Code shortcut has been created on my desktop. So at this point, just leave this checkbox as checked, which is going to launch Visual Studio Code on your Windows 11 operating system. Just click on finish and it's going to launch Visual Studio Code. And once you have Visual Studio Code, we need a second tool which is called a compiler, right? So a compiler will help you to compile your C and C++ code on any operating system. So for Windows, we are going to install the MinGW compiler. So let's start with that. So first of all, open your favorite browser and search for MinGW. And in the search result, you will see some websites. So don't click on the first website which you will see here, which is from SourceForge. You need to open this website which says mingw-w64.org. So just click on this link which says mingw-w64.org. And once this website opens, you will be able to see the overview here. And on this website, you can click on the downloads link here. So here you will be able to see all the download link for MinGW for different operating systems. So the one we are looking for is the Windows version. So we are going to click on this link which says MinGW W64 builds. So just click on this link, which is going to open this kind of window again. And from here you can download the MinGW builds from SourceForge. So you need to click on this link now, right? So SourceForge link was shown directly in the search result, but you need to go through this website in order to come to this website. And once you are redirected to the sourceforge.net website, you will see that MinGW 64-bit installer exe file will be downloaded on your Windows 11 operating system. So once this file is downloaded, I'm going to click on this file, and then you will see this warning which says, do you want to allow this app from unknown publisher to make changes on your device? I trust this, so I will click on yes here, and I'm going to minimize this browser. And you can see MinGW installer has been started on my Windows 11 operating system. So on the first window, I just need to click on next here, which is going to start the installation. Here you can choose the version for MinGW. So I'm going to choose the topmost option, which is 8.1.0 at the time of making this video. You can also choose the architecture. I'm going to choose x86-64. And then you can choose the threads. So generally for threads, I always choose POSIX, but you can also choose Win32 also. Also exception, you have two options. I will leave it as default. And then you have the build revision. I will leave it as default also, and then click on next. And this will be the location where your MinGW compiler will be installed. So you can see it will be installed in the program files. MinGW directory will be created, and then this folder will be created, right? So if you don't have the good reason to change this location, just leave it as default. And also you can leave this checkbox as checked, which is going to create a shortcut for your MinGW compiler tool. So I'm going to click on next now, which is going to start the download of all the files and packages for your MinGW tools. So just wait for this process to reach to the 100% mark. So now after some time, I can see this window which says click next to continue the installation. So I'm going to click on the next. And now I can see this message which says MinGW has been successfully installed, and I can click on finish to complete the installation. So let me click on the finish button. So once I click on the finish button, MinGW is installed on my Windows operating systems. So now once MinGW is installed, first of all, we need to know the location where MinGW is installed. So at the time of installation, you might have noted the location. So let me show you the default location where MinGW will be installed. So you need to go inside the C directory and then go inside program files. And then you will be able to see this MinGW-W 64-bit folder here. And then this folder will be there. So this is the location where MinGW is installed. Then you need to go inside MinGW 64, and here under the bin folder, you will see all the files which will help you to compile your C or C++ programs. Okay, so go until the bin folder, right? And you need to copy this path. Now we need to set the environment variables for MinGW so that we can use GCC or G++ command on our Windows command prompt or PowerShell or terminal. So for that, what you need to do, you just need to click on search and then search for edit env, and it's going to show you this result which says edit environment variables for your account, and you can see this window is going to open, right? Now if you can't find this edit environment variable window using the search option, then you can always open the control panel, and then once control panel opens, you need to view by category here and then click on system and security, and then once again click on system here, which is going to open the settings app, and here it's going to show you in about section this link which says advanced system settings. So just click on that and then click on environment variables, which is also going to open the same window. So you can choose any one of the method. So once this environment variables window opens, select path under system variables and then click on edit and then click on new here. Okay, so it's going to allow you to add a new environment variable, and then just copy the path until the bin folder inside your MinGW 64-bit folder. Okay, so So this path is until bin folder. Okay, and once you copied it, you can just add this path here inside your environment variables, and then just press enter, which is going to add your path, and then click OK here, and then click OK, and then once again click on OK. And now you can close all the windows here, and now we can test our GCC and G++ versions and commands, right? So you can open the command prompt by just pressing CMD, and then open the command prompt from the result. And once the command prompt is open, here you can just write GCC space -- version, and then press enter. And if you see some result which looks like this, that means GCC command is working successfully on your Windows 11 operating system. Similarly, you can also check the G++ command, which is also used to compile your C++ programs. So it's also going to show you this kind of result here. So once you see this kind of result, that means your GCC and G++ commands are working. So once you have installed the MinGW compiler and you have set the environment variables for GCC and G++, we are ready to create our first C++ code. So let's start with the very basics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my command prompt. So for that, I'm going to just search for CMD and then press enter, which is going to open my command prompt. And then let's say I'm going to create a folder in which I want to have all my C++ related files, right? So let's say I want to create this folder on my desktop. I'm going to just cd to my desktop first of all, and then I'm going to create a folder. And on command prompt, to create a folder, you can give this command mkdir, and then let's say I want to name my folder as my CPP app, and then I'm going to just press enter, which is going to create the folder with this name. You can also right click here and then create the folder if you want. You don't need to create it with the help of command prompt. So once this folder is created, I'm going to cd in this folder, and then when I type on the command prompt code space dot and then press enter, it's going to open Visual Studio Code, and this folder will be opened in Visual Studio Code from which I have given this command, right? So currently I am in my CPP app folder in the command prompt, right? And when I gave this command, it's going to open this folder in Visual Studio Code. Here I can create a CPP file. So let's create a very basic C++ file. I'm going to name my file as main.cpp here and then press enter, which is going to create this file. Now as soon as I create the C++ file, Visual Studio Code is going to recognize that, and it's going to show me some recommendations. You can see, do you want to install recommended extension for C++? So here you can click on this option. Don't click on install, but because we want to see which extensions we are going to install. So I'm going to click on show recommendations here, and here it's going to open this extensions tab, right? So on the left hand side you have this bar, and when you just hover over this extensions icon here, you will be able to see that it's for extensions. So just click on this, and then you will be able to see many extensions for C and C++, right? So right now the recommended extension by Visual Studio Code for us is this one, which is created by Microsoft. You can see, and the number of downloads are also given here. So around 3.3 million downloads are done for this extension. So if you don't see this recommendation, you can always go to this extensions tab here and then search for C++, and once you search for C++, it's going to show you all these recommendations, right? So the topmost option is going to be the option which you will require. So you can see this one, and it's from Microsoft once again, And for this extension, you can see the number of downloads are 27 million. And what it does, it provides the support for C and C++ IntelliSense, debugging and code browsing. So we are going to install the C/C++ extension first of all, and just click on the install button, which is going to start the installation process of this extension. Same we are going to do for this one, which is called C/C++ extension pack. So just choose this extension also, which is called C/C++ extension pack, and then click on install, which is going to install 9 essential C and C++ related packs, right? So we have already installed the C and C++ IntelliSense debugging and code browsing extension. In addition, it's going to install all these extensions so that we can run our C or C++ code on Visual Studio Code editor, right? So if you want to use CMake or Make or any other kind of tool to build your C++ program, this extension is going to install all the related extensions for that. So you can see all the extensions in this pack are installed, and now you will be able to see disable and uninstall option. And let's write some code. So first of all, we are going to include this IOStream package. So I'm going to just write include, and you can see at every point you will get the IntelliSense to complete your code. So when I just type this angle bracket, it shows me all the options, and then when I just type IO, I can see all these packages which starts from IO, right? I need this IO stream, so I'm going to select this, and it's going to just add the ending angle bracket also. Then I'm going to create the main method, which is simple int main, and then these parentheses, and then these curly brackets. Here I just want to, let's say, print hello world. So I'm going to just write std : C out, and then I want to print hello world. So once you have written your code, you can save your code by just pressing Ctrl S, which is going to save your code, and then you are ready to run your code. So how you can run your code on your Visual Studio Code editor? So in order to run your code, you have the option to open the terminal and run your code there, or you can just select this terminal option, and you have this run task, run build task. So I'm going to select this option which says run build task. You can also press Ctrl Shift B for running this build task. So let me just click on this, and as soon as I click on this option, I will see all these options here. So for building my C++ program, I will require g++.exe file, right? If you need to compile the C program, so if this file name was main.c file and you wanted to compile the C program, you could have chosen gcc.exe, right? So for C++, we use G++, and for C programs, we use GCC. So in my case, I'm going to use this option which says g++exe build active file. And what it's going to do, it's going to build my file, and you can see build finished successfully. So my build was finished successfully, and you can see this main.exe file is generated. So now I just need to run this exe file and see what is the output, right? So for this, I can open a new terminal. You can open the new terminal by just selecting this terminal option and then click on a new terminal, or you can click on this plus button, which is going to open the new terminal. Now, as you can see, the type of terminal which is opened, right? So by default, because PowerShell is the default terminal on my Windows 11 operating system, so it has opened PowerShell. But let's say I want to open the normal command prompt, right? I can open it by just clicking on this arrow button, and then I can select command prompt from here, and it's going to open the command prompt. You can see which type of terminal or command prompt is open on the right hand side in this list. So I have this PowerShell terminal open, I have this command prompt terminal open, and it's similar to opening your CMD on your Windows operating system or PowerShell on your Windows operating system. So you can see this Windows PowerShell. So it's similar to opening these PowerShell or command prompt on your Windows 11 operating system. They are just opened in your Visual Studio Code. So they come integrated with your Visual Studio Code. From here, I select CMD option. So I want to run my exe file using command prompt. So I can just type the name of my exe file, which is main.exe, and then press enter, which is going to print the output here, which is hello world in my case, right? So that's how you can run your program using PowerShell. So if you want to use PowerShell, so for the PowerShell, you just need to write dot and then the backslash and the name of your exe, which is main.exe file, and then press enter, which is also going to show you the hello world result. So you can run your exe file using command prompt also and from the PowerShell also. Now let me add some more code and I will show you how you can debug your C++ program on Visual Studio Code. So very simple, nothing complicated about this program. I just want to show how you can debug your C++ code. So in order to debug your C++ code, you select this option, which is called run and debug. And here you can see a few options. So you can click on run and debug button here, which is going to run your program in a debugger. You can also create a launch.json file to customize your debugging options, right? So for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just add a few breakpoints here, and you will see the list of all the breakpoints in this list under breakpoints. So you will be able to see the list of all the breakpoints. You can see it's in the main.cpp file, and then they are at line 4, 5, and 6, right? You can disable all the breakpoints by just pressing this button which says toggle active breakpoints, and it's going to disable all these breakpoints. It's not going to remove the breakpoints, but these breakpoints will be disabled. You can also remove all these breakpoints by just pressing this option which says remove all breakpoints, and it's going to remove all the breakpoints. So let me add these breakpoints once again, and let's run this debugger. So I'm going to click on run and debug button, and once again Visual Studio Code is going to ask us which debugger we want to use, right? So depending upon the debugger available on your Windows 11 operating system, you can choose from those debuggers. Because we have installed the MinGW as a compiler on our Windows operating system, we are going to choose the first option which says C++ GDB LLDB. Okay, so I'm going to select this option, and this is going to give me once again these options, right? So now as I said, for C++ programs you choose the g++.exe file, and for C programs you can choose gcc.exe files, right? So I'm going to select the g++.exe file for C++, and it's going to run my program in the debugger, and you can see it's starting the debugger here, and now my program is running in the debug mode. So how can I understand that my program is in debug mode? You will be able to see this specific color for debugging, right? So this bar color is changed for the debugging, and you will be able to see all these options for debugging. So from this option you can continue to the next code, and then using this you can step over in the code, and then you can step into the code and then step out of the code, and then you can rerun your debugging once again, and you can stop your debugging using this icon. Now because we have added this breakpoint, our program execution is stopped at this line 4, which is our first breakpoint, and on the left hand side you will be able to see the list of all variables and the values for these variables. So right now the variable 1 have 0 value, variable 2 have 16, and variable sum has 0 value, because at this point these numbers are not assigned to our variables. C++ is going to assign the random numbers to these variables, right? That's why you see all these random numbers. Now when I just click on step over and move to the next breakpoint, what happens here? You can see num1 is equal to 5 here, right? I can also watch for some specific variables. Let's say I want to watch the variable called sum, which is this variable. I can type the name of the variable and then press enter, and then I can watch that variable specifically, right? So now the value of num1 is 5 because this line is executed, but still this line is not executed. So still num2 has been assigned any random number. In my case it's 16, but it can be any number because we haven't assigned 10 here because we are on this line. When we go to the next line by clicking on step over, you can see the number 10 is assigned to num2 variable, right? But still the value of sum is 0 because at this point our program execution is stopped at this point. So still the assignment is not has not been taken place. So when I step over to the next line, I can see the sum value, which is 15, and you can see I was watching this variable also. So this variable value is also 15, right? So this is how you can step over and step into a method or step out of the method using these buttons, and you can keep the track of all these local and global variables on this section. And then you also have the call stack. So right now we are in the thread 1, which is our main thread. If we were using multiple threads, you will be able to see in which thread what is happening here in the call stack, right? So this is how you can debug your code. You can stop this code by clicking on this stop icon here, and you will come out of your debugger, right? And you can see the output of your debugger in this debug console, right? So you will be able to see where your program execution is, where you have stopped in your program. So we stopped at breakpoint 3, breakpoint 4. So once I have chosen my debugger, I can next time I can always use this option from here, from this list, and then I can run the debugger again. Once you select all these options which I have shown you, and when you go to the Explorer section, Visual Studio Code is going to create this .vs Code file, and here this launch.json file is important, where all the options which you have chosen for debugging are saved. So here in this launch.json, I can see the configuration. The name of the configuration is g++.exe, which is the same name here, right? And you can provide multiple configurations in this launch file. That's why you can give the name to every configuration. The type is cpp dbg for cpp debugger. Request is launch, and then which file you want to launch. This means we are in the current directory, and the file name is the same name as your cpp file name .exe file. And you can see which debugger you are using, GDB, and then you have the debugger path. So in our case, this debugger path is at this location. So all the information about your debugger is there in your launch.json file. So you can always change this configuration if you want to use some other debugger, right? Let's say Microsoft debugger. You can change this path for the debugger from here and then use the other debugger, right? You also have this tasks.json file where you will be able to see the commands. You can see the command which is going to be used to run your program. G++.exe file is there, and then you will be able to see the options for compiling or building your C++ code here. So let's say I want to run my debugger once again. So from the next time, I can just click on this green start debugging button, and it's going to start my code in the debugging mode. So now once again you can see I am in the debugging mode. So this is how you can set up Visual Studio Code for C and C++ development on your Windows 11 operating system. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next video.